Hello! Howdy! Hi everybody, Sam Goodman here with another episode of Really Fucking Scary Stories. You can hear it. You can hear it there in the background. I'm getting ready to switch it on. You know what I've got here? I've got the little SB7 spirit box. Ask your questions now or forever hold your peace. Welcome back. We are on episode 2 of season 4. I just can't believe that we're on season 4, and I'm super duper pumped. Let me bring the mic in here a little bit so you can actually hear me. That might help. I got all pumped about the spirit box and lost my position there for a second. But welcome. Thank you for all of your love, support, all that kind of sort of stuff. Do me a favor, share this podcast with some of your friends, family, frenemies, enemies, all the above. That helps us way more than I can ever explain. That's like one of the best things that you can do to support any podcast, not just this one. So anybody you're listening to, anybody that, you hop in the car and you're like, you know what, I'm going to listen to that episode. If you like it, if you share it, if you subscribe to them, that helps a ton. It helps a lot. So again, all of you that have left us reviews, I can't tell you how thankful I am. We love you guys. We appreciate it. If you want to get into contact, and I love that too. I love having conversations with you. rfsspod@gmail.com, rfsspod@gmail.com. Send me your story. Send me stuff that you want me to talk about. Send me, any experiences you had with the paranormal or true crime or just questions. I'm wanting to do some more Q&A stuff at some point. So send me some questions. I would love to answer those as well. And last little plug. Again, I mentioned it on episode 1 of this season. I'm going to mention it again, and I promise I'll shut the F up about it. But go check out my more personal YouTube channel, Sam Goodman. I'll link it down in the show notes below. If you're enjoying this content, you'll probably like that too. So go check that out. Go follow along on Facebook, all that kind of sort of stuff. Again, that helps us an absolute ton. So today's going to be just a teensy-weensy little bit different. And what I mean by that is I'm going to look at some ghost stories or just paranormal stories that I found primarily off of Reddit. And I did my best to not read these first. So if I've kind of fumbled through them, I apologize. But I want to give you my honest reaction to them as we go through. So I can kind of see the titles, I can kind of see that stuff, but I did not peruse them. I did not dig into them before we get started. So here we go. Let's do this. Let's see how it goes. If it sucks, we'll never do it again, but let's see what happens. And here we go. Today's episode of Haunted Reddit. It wasn't a little girl. I was camping with my husband and his family at a small remote lake in New Mexico. There were about 10 people in our group and another group of 6 people in the next campsite. It was nighttime and both groups were doing typical activities, making s'mores, having a few drinks, and telling stories, when we all heard what sounded like a little girl yelling out for help. Neither group had children with them, but we were all positive we were hearing a little girl and decided to search the area we had heard the noises from together. There was a field behind our campsite, and we all saw a very tall, pure white figure standing maybe 100 foot away from us in the field, making the noises. We all agreed this thing looked maybe 6 feet tall, skinny, and white as can be. We made our way closer to investigate, but whatever it was we saw started backing off as we got closer, and it disappeared into the trees. All night, we continued to hear a little girl calling for help as we tried to sleep. The end. Fuck that. I think that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with number 1, fuck that. If you're hanging out in your campsite and you're hearing a little girl and you go out and you see a little girl, or let's just call it a lady in white. That's what it's commonly referred to, right? A lady in white. And you see the said lady in white. I don't think the first move is to be yeah, fuck it. Let's go to bed. Pass. Hard pass. My ass is getting in the car and we are going home, or at least to the nearest hotel. I'm going to say bye, don't follow me, and then I think I'm going to go home. Yeah, I'm packing up my shit and going home. Okay, on to the next one, and this one's just a little bit longer because some of these are kind of short, some of them are a little longer. Let's just keep going with it. This one was called The Walking Dead. I'm a psychiatric nurse, and early in my career, I worked at a residential mental health facility. One of our residents was an elective mute. I'm not sure what an elective mute is. Someone send me an email. Let me know. That would be super helpful. I'm going to Google this after this. Never mind. Here we go. Dumb Sam. Which means that he couldn't talk, but there was no medical reason as to why. So cancel the Google, cancel the emails. We now know what an elective mute is. He had spoken earlier in his life, and it in fact seemed quite normal back then, with the exception of being nearly 7 foot tall. Excuse me? Excuse me? Mental health hospital, elective mute, 7 foot tall. This is starting off a little hitting some of the, scarier bits. This sounds like the beginning of a horror movie. He had been raised in the Deep South and joined the military when he was 19, but one night he vanished. He was declared AWOL, and eventually he was declared missing and then dead. 10 years later, a 7 foot tall man walked into a VA hospital emergency room in this person's part of the Midwest and said to the receptionist, "My name is blank." They did not include the name. They marked that out. And I've been dead for 10 years. Yeah, there you go. And so those were the last words that he ever actually spoke, or at least that anyone heard. He was covered with dust, and he was wearing the same clothes he'd been reported to be wearing the night he vanished. His social security number had not been used, and he had no identification on this person. However, they were able to identify him, and I guess via fingerprints, this person goes on to say. The family was notified, but they said they'd already grieved their lost man, and that whomever was claiming to be him simply could not be. They demanded not to be contacted again. That seems a little fucked up. Just saying, if one of my loved ones was declared dead and then all of a sudden through the miracle of just them not being dead, I think I'd be kind of pumped. I'm just saying. I think I would get over the fact that I already grieved. Don't bother me anymore. Shit move. Just wanted to insert that again. This person paced all day, every day, moving his mouth, looked like he was trying to talk or mutter, but no sound came out. He had an unnerving habit of throwing his head back with his mouth wide open as if he were laughing, like just full on laughing, but not even a breath could be heard. If I talked to him, he appeared to listen, periodically throwing his head back in laughter, mimicking laughter that he was kind of doing. Various medications were tried, but they did not affect him either positively or negatively. Occupational therapy did nothing because this person would just grin, and unless told to stay put, he'd get up and start pacing again. On the last day at that job, the last thing I saw was this person pacing in the parking lot, throwing his head back to, air quotes, laugh. Later, I wondered all along if I'd been dealing with a ghost. All these years later, I still don't know. So it doesn't give much detail after that, but could you imagine if like you get to the end of like this job, like you're moving on or you're retiring or whatever, and then they're like, yeah, so-and-so, whatever happened to that person? They're like, who? What are you talking about? Fuck that. Yeah, that would be a really good addition to this true story if we want to get a little fictitious. But either way, that's kind of a fucking weird story, right? Either way, pretty weird. I mean, that hits some of the really fucking scary check boxes, that's for sure. Next, it was good to see an old friend. When I was 37, I went to my high school reunion. I flew into the nearest airport and rented a car. The distance was about 35 miles through a very rural, I gotta slow down or I'd come out rural. I gotta say rural and almost abandoned part of the country. About 3 miles outside of town, I see someone on the side of the road flagging me down. It turned out that it was one of the guys I had attended school with, Jim, and they put not his name, so Jim is a fictitious name. Jim gets in the car and we start talking. I'd not seen him in 20 years, but he still looked the same, maybe a little older. We got to town and I asked him if he wants to come to the VFW and have a drink. He says no, just take me home. Jim's parents had lived only a few blocks from my grandmother's house, and I turned in that direction, but he said take me to the outskirts of town. There was a mobile home park out there, and I just figured that's where he lived. When we reached the end of the turnoff, he said, just drop me here. It was good to see you again, and he walks off into the night. I go to the VFW, met some of my old classmates. We start to talk. As we were talking about who is coming to the reunion, I mentioned that I just picked up Jim about 3 miles east of town and had dropped him off. Everyone gets quiet. Even the guy singing karaoke stops and lays down the mic. They spelled Mike like M-I-K-E. Just wanted to throw that in there. I thought that was kind of funny. My cousin goes white as a new t-shirt. Barb, Jim died on that curve 8 years ago. Rolled his car. We were all at his funeral, I was told. I started to feel really dizzy. Yeah, I think that would be the right response. And I went out to the car to take some deep breaths. There on the seat is the local newspaper printed 8 years previous containing Jim's obituary. I still have the paper. So I really like this is yeah, I digs it. I like it. I like this one. I really hope that this is a true story, because this is some really good shit. This is some really fucking scary shit. I dig it. I like it. Last but not least, the unrest stop. I was driving across the country with my mom and my sister when I was 16, and my sister was 20. It was late, but we were well rested and still alert. We were driving along an interstate and needed gas and a bathroom break, so we stopped at the only rest stop in 200 miles out in the middle of nowhere, that's for sure. There was a van full of teenagers parked on the side. It looked like they were on a road trip. They were stopped at the gas station, as well as a small gray car parked at the pump in front of us with two young men standing still outside of it. When we got there, everything felt wrong. We'd been on the road for days and seen many rest stops at night and never been afraid until then. My mom and my sister went inside. I stayed in the car. I heard the teenagers say that they were creeped out and couldn't get the pump to work, and they left in a hurry. I was watching the car in front of us, and the two men had not moved at all, not an inch. They weren't talking. They weren't on phones. They were just standing there, still as stone. My sister and mom came running back out to the car, and when they got in, two men slowly turned to look at us, not moving or pivoting the rest of their bodies, and I swear to fucking shit, there was, and I like it, we all saw the same thing. They had eyes dark as pitch. So they turn around, nothing moves except for their bodies, nothing moves, like their bodies don't move. It's in like a really weird ghostly way. They turn around, eyes dark as pitch, black and empty, truly empty, not reflecting any light, all just void. We sped out of there and didn't stop until we were in the next city. The worst thing about the entire experience, we couldn't find the place on any map. We knew exactly which spot on the interstate to look. We couldn't find it on Google Maps or on any paper maps we had. We even asked locals about the creepy gas station on that stretch of the road and just got confused looks. We've traveled on that interstate since, and there is no rest stop. Really good. I'm digging that one too. Again, hopefully it's real. I likes it a lot. I think it's definitely hits the really fucking scary story list 110%, especially those last two. Let me know what you think. rfsspod@gmail.com. All that kind of sort of stuff. Would love to hear from you. Love you, mean it. You know what I'm going to say. I like those stories. The internet can be a weird place. Definitely some really fucking scary stories. Have you had a really fucking scary experience? Have you seen a ghost? Have you been on a macabre adventure? Would you like to share it on air? Would you like for us to tell that story? Or you just have something horrid that you would like for us to talk about? Send us an email at rfsspod. That's rfsspod@gmail.com. Make sure that you subscribe. New episodes come out every single Friday. We look forward to continuing this creepy, crawly, morbid, macabre, and grotesque adventure with you, the listener. We love you, and we will see you soon. Thank you for joining us today on our trip into the dark. We hope that you join us again next week for all things horror, all things macabre, all things grotesque, here on Really Fucking Scary